I love tools. In fact, I might be obsessed with tools and wood, as you could say. Are you obsessed with tools? Because I know you probably are, and you probably use a lot of tools at your MSP. Let's talk about that today on levels of difficulty. If you're like me, most of us have a ton of tools at our MSP. We love them. But are we getting tools that really get the job done, so to speak? Are we like Dean and we just collect random nonsense because why not have it? This is a sander. And that's that typical sandpaper you've all seen, you've all used. This is also a sander. And this is weird sandpaper you probably haven't. The difference is that this sandpaper is like a nickel a sheet. And this sandpaper is like $2 a sheet. And you might be saying, whoa, I would never pay $2 a sheet for sandpaper. But what if I told you that this sandpaper was so optimized for what we're doing that it'll cut down the amount of time I have to spend sanding in half and the results will be better? That same logic applies to your MSP tools. Are you using this old tired stuff, or do you have the right stuff for the job? And are you actually running an analysis on how much money you're saving doing it right versus doing it the old way? That's what we're here to talk about. Are the tools that you're using in your MSP actually friendly and supportive to your MSP initiatives? It's easy to buy a cool tool, and it's easy to buy a tool that does something really, really well. In fact, it's so easy, a lot of us have a tool creep problem, and we buy way too many tools. We'll talk about that in another video. What is a little bit harder and a little more nuanced is making sure that every tool you buy is aligned with your business objectives. And that's where a lot of us fall a little bit short and increase that level of difficulty. So let's talk about how to avoid that. This only makes dowel holes in wood. This is only a face clamp for one particular brand of pocket holes. Is that practical? Let's talk about that. So we're magically back in the studio. And I know we were just talking about tools, physical tools, but I want to give a video game example since that's supposed to be the point of this series. How many of you have played a game where you collected niche, random, or very rare potions, consumables, scrolls, or tools, and you have hung on to them the entire game, carting them around in your inventory, and you never even needed them or used them? A lot of times when we go to look for a product recommendation, a frequent example I see is a PSA or a ticketing system. We'll go to sources like Reddit, our friends, Facebook, and you'll hear advice on why this one is good or that one is good. And a lot of people tend to get aggravated at the major players in the MSP space because they don't do something that's perceived to be either technically competent or just friendly. And that's a great example of how you're increasing your level of difficulty. The major players in the MSP space have created an ecosystem full of integrations that allow an MSP, when they go and buy that ticketing system, to have 100% of the rest of their stack talk to each other and not be in a silo. And I really can't get that if I go out and try to use an open source or less well ecosystem and integrated for-profit IT management tool. Why would you increase your level of difficulty when you could decrease it by buying into an ecosystem platform? I will see a lot of people, they'll go out and they'll rate a tool they're picking for their business based on the quality of the tool's ability to execute the job that it's in. And at face value, that's really smart, right? You know, if I'm trying to saw a piece of wood, I want a sharp saw, of course. But that's not what we're in the business of. We're not in the business of sawing wood. We're in the business of selling finished projects. And in our MSP, we're not in the business of checking SNMP alerts or entering tickets or managing our firewall or managing our backups. We're in the business of doing all of that for profit efficiently. And if our tools don't align with that mindset, and we focus too much on the individual quality of individual tools, very quickly we'll have an amazing stack of top quality tools, don't actually work very well together, and don't arrive at that intended output. Let's give a great example in a tool that a lot of us end up having to use in our stacks. Let's talk a little bit about firewalls and edge devices. So pretty much every modern MSP needs some sort of device on the edge of the client's network, and we tend to call that a firewall. And there are just so many options. And from a blocks things, does network address translation, and allows all sorts of just cool stuff to be done, nearly every firewall that I would put in a business setting can absolutely do that. So from the standpoint of, is it a good quality tool? Almost all the choices are. But yet, not every firewall is MSP business friendly. Let me give you an example. So, how many of you have looked at a firewall like Palo Alto or Juniper? Two of the highest end, best quality firewalls that are constantly ranked in the Gartner Magic Quadrant. It's just being amazing. I know I have. Here's the thing. Even though Palo and Juniper are two of the best firewalls that are on earth, neither one of them has an MSP-friendly central management console that will automatically report usage, licensing, and allow centralized management from a single pane of glass. So, yeah, you might go out and install 20 Palo Altos, and they're awesome, but you're going to spend 2 to 5x the amount of time managing them than you would if you picked a slightly less exciting brand that has centralized management and has that ability to do centralized reporting and native integration with all your MSP tools. This is why it's really important to have tools that are not only capable of working together, but do so towards a common goal. It's why you'll often see people who know what they're doing and trying to decrease that level of difficulty recommending some of the larger platforms that have built an ecosystem. And I'm here to tell you, MSP, if you think you're edgy and cool because you're intentionally avoiding an ecosystem platform because you want to get open source tools, I agree, that is really cool, but it's not going to help your business. So just remember, my MSP friends, when you go out and you evaluate your tools, don't just evaluate them for how well they perform their individual task. Evaluate them on how well they integrate with your other tools, how aligned they are to your actual MSP business problems, which remember, is not fixing IT stuff. It's supporting small businesses for reasonable profit. Go back and check your tools. Make sure they're actually doing that for you. Decrease that level of difficulty. Your techs and your clients will thank you. If you like these videos and you want to see me cut my hand off in the future as I try to juggle a camera while running a saw, which is something I do not know how to do properly or safely, hit that like button, hit subscribe, share our videos around. We really appreciate it. Thank you for watching today. I really hope you're able to take away a few ideas at a very high level on how to reapproach your current tool alignment, your current tool stack, and how you can go in and better align your tools to decrease your level of difficulty. And remember, don't hang on to all that awesome loot until you finish the game. What are you waiting for? You should be using your tools fully and wholly today, not for the final boss, because you won't use it then any more than you're not using it now. Have a great day.